Hello, scholars. So far in class, we have talked about the difference between prokaryotes and eukaryotes, and we've decided that animal and plant cells are both eukaryotes. This question here is diving into the specific difference between these two types of eukaryotes, animals and plant cells. So let's go ahead and work on answering the question. Explain how animal cells and plant cells are similar and different. Include examples of organelles, their functions, and how they get their energy. Give at least 3 comparisons and/or differences. This is a multi-step question, so I think the best way to tackle it would be to do some pre-writing. Because it's talking about animal cells and how they're similar and different, a great way to start would be making a Venn diagram of plants and animals. So I have done so right here. I started off my Venn diagram, put plants on one side, animals on the other, and then put the similarities in the middle. Go ahead and take a second now to see how much you can fill out with what you already know. Then, when you finish, go ahead and unpause the video and see if I add anything that is different. Okay, hopefully now you have made your Venn diagram about plants and animals, and you have added in all of the information that you can, everything that you currently know about plants and animals, what makes them different and what makes them similar. All right. Let's add to it. So let's start with plants. What makes them different from animals? Well, there's a couple organelles that they had that were different, right? So plants specifically have a cell wall. Animals don't. And there was one other organelle that we talked about that they have that animals don't. Those were chloroplasts. There's also one other organelle that I said was a little different in plant cells than in animals, and that is the vacuole. So plant cells have one large vacuole, while animal cells have many small ones. Now let's talk about what they look like. So we know that all cells have a cell membrane, but we also said that plants have a cell wall. Because they have this cell wall, so this is a cell membrane, because they have this cell wall around it, this is more structured. It's made of cellulose, so it's stronger. It's more structurally sound. It's more rigid. So that means that, here, let me label this. So this is my cell membrane. And the pink is my cell wall. That means that plant cells are patterned, structured. They have a regular shape. You could say they're more rigid. Less flexible. The question also asks about, says, and how they get their energy. Okay, we've learned about this before a little bit in other classes. We know the word photosynthesis, so we can write down that plants make food through photosynthesis. Now this is probably adding something on new that you have not learned before. We're actually, in a little bit, going to learn about, there's a relationship between photosynthesis and cellular respiration. They are very connected They feed each other. It's a cycle. So that's why I'm adding the circles pointing back and forth. So this is a cycle. Photosynthesis and cellular respiration. At this point, I'd expect that you are familiar with the word photosynthesis, maybe not able to explain what it means yet, and cellular respiration is probably new. Don't worry about if you've never heard either of them. We will explain both of them in detail. But this is just how it gets food, how it makes its energy. Okay? Now let's move over here to animal cells. So let's address that vacuole thing that we said. So we said plant cells have one, animals have many small vacuoles. There is also one other organelle that animal cells have that plants don't, and that is the centrioles. If you don't remember what centrioles do, they are what helps during cell division. They help guide the chromosomes. All right, let's talk about shape now. So, animal cells are irregularly shaped. They have a cell membrane, but not a cell wall. They're more flexible. I'll go ahead and add a drawing to add to this, to visualize it. So we noticed they were kind of, more round, weird shaped, kind of like this. Or there's not really a rhyme or a reason. That'd be a good representation of multiple animal cells. Okay. Animals get food by eating plants and other animals. This feeds cellular respiration. Let's move that up. Here you go. Go ahead and take a second to finish writing that down if you need to, and then we're moving to the middle. Okay, so I didn't give myself very much room here. I may end up having to write pretty small. So, first, let's list out all of the common organelles. Common organelles. They have a nucleus. They both have cytoplasm. Cell membrane, ribosomes. Mitochondria. The ER, which is the endoplasmic reticulum. They both have Golgi bodies, also known as Golgi apparatus. They both have lysosomes. So that's all the organelles they have in common. Well, they're both eukaryotes. And we wrote cellular respiration for both. So they both do cellular respiration. Which is where energy is generated. In the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. And then it does it by converting sugar into cellular energy, so energy in the form that a cell can use, which is called ATP. I don't suspect that you are familiar with how photosynthesis happens or cellular respiration. They are specific chemical equations. It's a chemical process. We will get more into that at a later time. Now I just want you to know that they use cellular respiration. They use photosynthesis. Plants do. All right. That's all that I'm writing in the Venn diagram. I'm still going to talk more about this process in a second, but take a time now to pause the video, finish writing this down, adding anything that you didn't get the first time. Now let's talk about how they get their food. So starting over here on the plant side. So I'm on the plant side right now. To make food for plant cells, the chloroplasts, let's do this. Work together with the mitochondria. From what you've heard before, sun shines down on a plant. That is radiant energy. And that radiant energy is converted into sugar, which is chemical energy. Stored in the chemical bonds, sugar. And then that goes into the mitochondria, which then converts it again into ATP, which is cellular energy. It's energy in the form that a cell can use. This right here is photosynthesis. And this right here is cellular respiration. Reiterating, this only happens in plant cells. This does not happen in animal cells. Pause if you need to write more of that down. Okay, now we're moving over into animal cells. So, animal cells do cellular respiration. They just don't have the whole photosynthesis thing happening first. It goes from eating food to cellular respiration. I'm going to go ahead and pause my recording right out on this side so that I can just talk about it with you. Okay, so I took a second just to write this all out. Go ahead and pause the video so you can write this out as well, and then just listen to what I have to say. So this happens only in the mitochondria. Remember, we're only talking about animals right now because animals don't have chloroplasts like plants. So we get energy through eating food. We take the sugar in it, like glucose, that's chemical energy stored in the bonds. And then in the mitochondria, that's converted into ATP, which is cellular energy again. So it's similar to what happens in plants, except for we get our sugar just from consuming it. They have to do an extra step. They've got to do photosynthesis. We both do cellular respiration. We don't both do photosynthesis. So you should be able to take all of this information now and answer the question from the beginning. The question from the beginning was, explain how animal cells and plant cells are similar and different. Include examples of organelles and their functions. We didn't put the functions in here, but you've already learned about it, so you should be able to. And how they get their energy. Give at least 3 comparisons and or differences. Okay, I hope that this video was helpful for you. If you need to go back and rewatch it, please do so. And if you have any questions, please email. Thanks.